There's this huge shift happening in management right now. Are you the go-to problem solver, the one who has all the answers? But what if your real job, your true value, was to be a multiplier, someone who makes their entire team smarter? In this explainer, we're going to break down how to make that exact leap, using the power of AI to transform not just your work, but your team's entire potential.
All right, let me ask you something, and be honest. Does it ever feel like your team is just stuck in a loop, hitting the same roadblocks and fighting the same fires over and over again? I mean, it's not just frustrating, right? It's a massive drain on everyone's energy and potential.
So what's behind this crazy cycle? Well, it often comes down to what we can call the knowledge sharing trap. We think we're building a smarter team, but we're actually kind of accidentally reinforcing a system that kills any real long-term learning. And this right here, this gets to the heart of a huge myth. We tend to think of knowledge sharing as this big, formal event, a training day or some super dense manual that nobody reads. But the reality? Real, sticky learning happens in dozens of these small, collaborative micro-moments all throughout the day.
So the real key here is unlocking these daily micro-moments. It's all about realizing that every single challenge, every question, even every little success is a chance to build up your team's collective brain power. Let's dive into a couple of real-world examples.
Okay, here's a classic situation. We've all been there, right? The urgent client escalation call. Something's gone wrong, a deadline's been blown, and suddenly everyone's in full-on firefighting mode. Now, the typical manager response? Jump in, be the hero, fix the immediate problem, and then rush off to the next fire. But a collaborative leader sees this completely differently. After the dust is settled, they pause, and they turn it into a learning moment. They stop and ask the important questions. Okay, team, what early signal did we miss here? What assumption did we make that just completely failed? See the difference? You're not just closing a ticket, you're basically vaccinating the entire team against that problem ever happening again. That's powerful.
All right, let's take another one we all know too well, getting a new person on the team ramped up and actually productive. The standard playbook is pretty predictable, right? Shadowing, reading some SOPs, but a collaborative knowledge approach, well, it goes so much deeper. It anticipates the real-world hurdles. Imagine giving your new hire a guide to the real mistakes people make in their first month, or a cheat sheet on client sensitivity moments. You're not just teaching the process, you're sharing the wisdom, the unwritten rules. And that cuts down the ramp-up time like you wouldn't believe.
So you might be thinking, what's in it for me as a manager? What's the strategic value here? Well, when you start operating this way, you stop being just a taskmaster. You become a knowledge hub for your team. You act as a transformation multiplier. You become that early warning sensor for risks, and you emerge as the go-to leader during change, all because you've built a team that can think, adapt, and solve problems on its own.
Okay, now this is where things get really, really powerful. This entire approach can be supercharged with generative AI. And look, AI isn't here to replace you. Think of it as your personal knowledge multiplier.
Gen AI changes the game in 4 huge ways. First, it accelerates the creation of learning materials from all that raw experience. It helps you scale that knowledge across different teams, even different regions, almost effortlessly. It takes messy, real-world events and structures them into clean, reusable assets. And it can even personalize learning for each person on your team. But here's the most important part. All of this is still guided by your human judgment. You're the pilot.
And we need to be super clear about the limits here. AI has no idea about political sensitivity or emotional risk. It can't build real client trust. That's where you come in. Those uniquely human skills, your judgment, your empathy, your understanding of the context, that's where managers become more valuable than ever before.
Okay, that's the why. Let's get super practical now with the how. How do you actually start using these tools? I'm going to walk you through a new AI toolkit with 6 high-value plays you can literally start using today.
All right, so this toolkit is all about these 6 plays. They kind of build on each other, starting with capturing that raw experience and turning it into structured learning, and going all the way up to enabling real-time support and personalized coaching. Let's break them down into 2 groups. So these first 3 plays are all about turning experience into immediate action. So instead of a debrief dying in some old meeting notes, you use Gen AI to instantly turn it into a checklist your team can actually use. Or think about those static SOP documents. You can have AI transform them into dynamic if this, then that style playbooks. And this is cool. From one single source document,
You can tell it to generate a simplified summary for a new joiner and a high-level list of decision triggers for your senior leads. Same source, different audiences. All right, the next 3 plays are where you really start to shift your team from being reactive to being predictive. I mean, imagine feeding all your support ticket data into a Gen AI tool and having it pinpoint the repeating root causes that you just keep missing. Or what about this? Creating an internal knowledge bot trained on all your documents so your team can just ask a question and get an instant answer instead of bugging an expert. You can even get the AI to analyze your team's work and identify knowledge gaps, and then suggest personalized microtrainings. It's like scaling your own coaching.
So when you put all this together, what does it really mean? It's way more than just a cool new toolkit. This fundamentally redefines the playbook for what it means to be a successful leader in the age of AI.
Your role completely evolves. You're no longer just the person who holds all the knowledge or solves all the problems. You become a knowledge curator, finding the best info, a context interpreter, explaining the why, a decision sense maker, helping your team cut through the noise, and a risk translator, spotting trouble before it even starts.
And this is really the most crucial takeaway. Your value isn't measured anymore by how much you personally know or how many problems you can fix on your own. It's measured by your ability to lift up your entire team, to help them think better, learn faster, and finally stop repeating the same old mistakes.
There's this fantastic quote that just perfectly captures this whole shift. The old strength was, I can handle complexity. The hero manager. But the future strength is, I can help the organization handle complexity, even when I'm not in the room. Think about that for a second. The old measure of strength was, I can handle this. The new measure is, my team can handle this because of the system I've built.
Okay, so where do you even begin with all this? It really just starts with a simple moment of reflection.
So, I want to leave you with 2 big questions to ask yourself today. First, what critical knowledge is stuck in your head right now that really ought to be team intelligence? And second, where can Gen AI be your accelerator to get that knowledge out of your head and scale it, structure it, and turn it into a real lasting asset for your team and your whole organization? Your journey from problem solver to knowledge multiplier, it really starts by answering those 2 questions.